In an unexpected place, archaeologists are meticulously excavating the earth. In the Russian city of Smolensk, located about 250 kilometers to the west of Moscow, they are excavating beneath the outermost layer of an outdoor dance floor. And what they're about to discover will provide the answer to a question that has persisted for 200 years regarding Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte's disastrous invasion of Russia. So to learn more, watch the video. One of Napoleon Bonaparte's favorite commanders has been legally recognized thanks to DNA analysis on a one-legged corpse discovered under a dance floor over 2 centuries after he had recovered from his combat wounds in Russia. Now, his executors are requesting that he be given a state burial in his native France. During Napoleon's catastrophic conquest of Russia, Charles-Étienne Gudin, whose surname appears on the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, passed away on August 22, 1812, at the age of 44 after being struck by a projectile. Napoleon knew Gudin personally and regarded him favorably. In addition to a boulevard in Paris bearing his name, a bust depicting him is housed in the historic Palace of Versailles. Eventually he passed away, and his heart was removed and taken to Paris, where it was interred in a small church in the Père Lachaise cemetery, but the whereabouts of the remainder of his body were unknown. Later in July, a group of French and Russian researchers claimed to have discovered what they thought to be Gudin's undiscovered bones during an excavation in the 250-mile West Russian city of Smolensk. Records from the time show that Gudin suffered significant injuries at the Battle of Valutino, which took place close to Smolensk and the Belarusian border and resulted in the deaths of 7,000 Frenchmen. After having his leg removed, gangrene claimed his life 3 days later. A Franco-Russian organization led by Pierre Malinowski, an expert on history and soldier by profession with connections to the French far right and Kremlin support, sponsored the effort to look for his remains, which got underway in May. Although the crew was certain that the remains they discovered belonged to Gudin, they sent specimens for biological cross-analysis using DNA from the general's grandchildren to put any doubts to rest. Mr. Malinowski claimed, "I returned to France carrying a piece of tibia and teeth. He gave them to a specialist in Marseille, southern France, who matched them with artifacts from the family tomb in Saint-Maurice-sur-Aveyron in the Loiret, central France, belonging to Gudin's brother and sister." The brother had previously worked as a Napoleonic general. According to Mr. Malinowski, the DNA fits 100%. There isn't any doubt anymore. "Today is the best day of my life," you say. In addition to being the first commander from the Napoleonic era that we have located, Napoleon was also one of the last people to see him alive. We were quite fortunate to discover a skeleton following all the disasters that Russia suffered in 1812. Additionally, it is unbelievable that there was more usable DNA on Gudin's bones than in the remains that had been preserved for the previous 200 years in a dry area. He declared that France would shortly receive the skeletal remains. The general's direct heir, Alberic d'Orléans, praised the information as historic. He demanded that Napoleon and other notable French military figures be given a suitable funeral at the Parisian military cemetery known as the Invalides. "This is the man who fought up to the people of Prussia during the Battle of Auerstadt. He demands an international tribute," he declared. Mr. Malinowski claims that Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed his stake in the situation and has offered to transport the corpses to France. The finding was also known to French President Emmanuel Macron. He declared that both leaders are delighted and expressed his desire for a joint event to honor the general. It will facilitate closer ties between France and Russia. Napoleon reportedly regarded Gudin as one of his favorite generals, and both of the men joined the same military academy. According to Nikolay Makarov, the executive director of the Russian Institute of Archaeology, the team in Smolensk first followed the memories of Marshal Devout, an inferior of Gudin who organized the funeral ceremony and depicted a mausoleum consisting of 4 cannon barrels facing skyward. After losing track of that lead, they explored a different notion put forward by a funeral witness and discovered the remains of a wooden coffin buried beneath an old floor for dancing in the municipal park. According to an early assessment, the dead body belonged to a guy who passed away between the ages of 40 and 45. At Valutino, Napoleon attempted to rout the Russian army, but it was able to flee, And Tsar Alexander of Russia declined to talk about peace. If Napoleon had not abused and undervalued the Russians, the conflict might have been decisive, said Mr. Malinowski. Massive defeats in this fight demonstrated to Napoleon that his time in Russia would be hellish. The Russians utilized scorched earth techniques and even gave the order to burn Moscow, which caused Napoleon's campaign to end in a humiliating withdrawal. Less than 10% of his troops made it through the Russian invasion. That was all from our side. Thank you for watching. And if you like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel.